Good evening. Welcome to the West Jordan Planning Commission for November 1st, 2016. We do have all 7 members of the commission present this evening. A couple of things on our agenda for this evening. We have one item on our consent calendar, which is the minutes from our last meeting. And then we have 2 items that will be continuing this evening. Item number 2, the Jordan Landing Dental, and item number 4, Ganson Carriages. We've been asked to continue those to future meetings. So we'll take care of each of those one at a time there, and then move on with the rest of our agenda. Commissioner Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we approve the minutes from our meeting of October 18 as listed in the staff packet.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Pack, second by Commissioner Spassky. Discussion to the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Spassky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we move the Jordan Landing Dental to the January 3rd Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Spassky, second by Commissioner Hanson. Discussion to that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Spassky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will also make a motion that we move or continue the Ganson Carriages item on the consent calendar to the November 15th meeting.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stokowski, second by Commissioner Hanson. Discussion to that motion. Making this easy on me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0, which leaves us with just items number 3 and 5. Item number 3, the first of our public hearings this evening, is Orchard Heights concerning the preliminary subdivision plat and a preliminary development plan in WSPA zone. Peterson Development, Justin Peterson is the applicant. Turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Justin Peterson, 225 South, 200 East in Salt Lake City. This is a piece that originally wasn't part of the Highlands Master Plan, but we brought it before you and City Council, and it was adopted in. It seemed to make sense. It was a continuation of a trail system going up to 6700 West, and as much as that, it's a product that we're bringing before you and that we've tried to bring into the city after hearing what the Planning Commission and the City Council has expressed a number of times. And I can say this, and I'll let Bruce Robinson speak if you can grant him a few minutes, and he'd be happy to answer some questions. But Symphony Homes is the builder that we're partnering with. They've not built in West Jordan City. I've known Bruce for 25, 30 years, and we've convinced him that West Jordan is a place he needs to build some homes. So I'll let him talk about the home product, but I can say of anything we've developed, subdivision-wise, and it's not in the hundreds of lots, it's in the thousands of lots here in your city, that this is the nicest product that we've seen and that we're excited to bring to the city. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions specific to this. Bruce can answer questions about his product, but if there's anything development-wise or subdivision-wise, layout-wise, master plan-wise, I'd be happy to answer it.
Any questions for Mr. Peterson on that aspect of the project? Mr. Spassky.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I didn't see it in the packet, but I saw a picture of it, but the walls that will be going around on 6700 West and 7800 South, is that something that you guys will be taking care of or the builder will be taking care of?
I think it would be more us. And how it situates, abutting up to the Highlands, we'd only like to see a continuation of the same theme, the same Owell Precast. I think it's Olympus Precast now is their name. That same wall that will continue down 7800 South to the east, and I believe south of the State Center, and even going down 8200 South. So we just look to do the same
Okay.
wall.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Doesn't look like it, so how about the other half?
Thank you for having me. My name is Bruce Robinson. I'm one of the owners of Symphony Homes and Symphony Development. We have never had an opportunity to really build in West Jordan City. Our company has built thousands of homes and focused primarily on just one thing. We really feel like we can only be good at one thing. And the one thing we're really good at is move-up housing. And that's homes from 400 to about 800,000. Our average sales price is about 625,000 right now. We'll build about 80 to 100 of those homes a year. The challenge that we've got, and that we've had even in West Jordan, in some communities on the west side of Salt Lake, is we've had a difficult time finding projects that will support the kind of price range we build in. And it's a pretty risky price range. Very few people can afford it. And what happens is, to get our projects to turn out properly, we have to break, I think, some of the standard rules of thumbs of development. For example, we can't build a community where all the homes are vertical and two-story. We need horizontal homes, and they need to be big and wide. And everything we build has a big covered patio or deck on the back of it, so we need wide and deep. The consequence of that is it makes the lots a little more expensive to develop. The second thing is we need a community not only with bigger lots, but when we bring these people in, we have to have some community amenities. We can't just stick them in a lot anywhere. They're going to spend that kind of money, especially in a community like West Jordan, where there's not a history of this level of housing. I know there's some pockets. We have to give them confidence in the community that their value will remain, and so we have to have wonderful entrances and some nice community amenities. In this case, there'll be a park and a pool. And then in addition to that, we have to break some rules with the architecture of our homes. We're not a dollar per square foot builder. Our thesis is we want to build beautiful homes that leave a lasting and beautiful community. Many of the people I've built for 3 or 4 times, and they'll just keep building with us if we do a superior job and give them beautiful housing. But the consequence of that, too, is we have to change some things with design and do more with the exteriors of the home to make them beautiful. We've been reluctant, honestly, to come to West Jordan. We've not known if it will support the kind of community we do. I've had a long-term relationship with the Petersons, and they've convinced us to come out and try to do it and see if it'll work here. We've pioneered these projects on the west sides of Farmington, where there was lower or less expensive housing, and on the west side of Kaysville, and on the west side of Layton, in areas that remind me a little bit of where West Jordan is now. And the communities we put in some of the areas have changed the whole nature of those sides of the towns. And once we put the communities in and people got the vision, they started to see more of this kind of housing. But it's not easy to do, and we need the help of the city to roll up their sleeves with us to make it happen, so that we can really make a wonderful, beautiful, and superior community, and we're willing to give it a try here. Hopefully you can help us make it happen. If you have any questions, we left you some pictures, and we did a presentation at a meeting a week or so ago, and I don't want to belabor the point. You can look at some of the things, and you're welcome to call some of these other cities and find out what kind of communities we lead.
What's your average anticipated price point for this project?
Well, we will probably advertise in the mid-4s, but most of our buyers spend between about $75,000 to $200,000 in upgrades. It's just what happens, and I wouldn't be surprised if we'll end up being averaging in this community in the $550,000 to $600,000 range. I know that sounds high. I know you're going to say you guys are crazy, but if we pull it off correctly, it's just what happens.
Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. I'm not going to call you crazy because I like the bigger lots, but you're not doing the part with the small lots. That is a different developer, isn't that correct?
Are you?
Not necessarily, but right now.
Could you come up so we can catch that on the microphone? Anything that you say there?
Yeah, come on up, Justin.
I don't know whether you can highlight that or show a map. The quarter portion there to the north, but as it is zoning and help subsidize these bigger lots, those are slated for smaller lots. We don't know what that product is. We're trying to bring Symphony Homes. Symphony does build that product. We just haven't contemplated that closer. But we do know that Symphony's neighbors and the neighbors we bring in there through Symphony Homes are going to want something nice, and it wouldn't make any sense for us as a developer or them as a builder to do something not nice on that northern portion.
Thank you.
Just to comment on that, we have sometimes gone into cities and done product that is more what we call a lock and leave product. It's generally aimed at a market where people are a little more mature and don't have children. And you can do a very nice product. The homes are a little smaller, have to be landscaped really well, but you can still leave a beautiful community on these kind of lots if it's done correctly.
Any other questions for either of these gentlemen? Commissioner Skoski?
Thank you. Not so much a question, but a thank you for being willing to take a stab at this with West Jordan. I think it'll be a beautiful community over on that side of the valley, so thank you.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
It's not the first time that we've discussed a desire to see a slightly higher price point home here in the city, so very interested. Any other questions for that at this point? No, thank you both.
Thank you.
Mr. Carter.
So as Justin Peterson stated, Orchard Heights, this 40-acre piece originally wasn't in the Highlands, and I think there were several members on the Planning Commission that remembered when this was recommended to be approved to be put into the Highlands Master Plan community, and it really is a continuation of Lone View out to 6700 West, so it's kind of a natural to be part of the Highlands because it's abutting. It's the farthest west portion of the Highlands, and you can see 7800 South is to the north, 6700 to the west, and then the Lone View South and North is both to the east of this development, and this is the layout that we've been looking at of the development. Now there's two cul-de-sacs, and one of the reasons for the two cul-de-sacs is that Symphony Homes was very adamant about that because they want to make this a very nice community with higher end homes, and they feel like those are some of the most sellable lots. Now with that being said, we try to get away from cul-de-sacs, but there is some guidance in the WSP document that allows up to 15% of the lots to be on cul-de-sacs and only 8% of these lots, and so it falls within that range, and I think it really does preserve that large lot, large home feel in that southern portion. Now, as Judy recognized, there's a larger lot portion and a smaller lot portion, and on this, but 30 acres of it is the larger lot, with the remaining 10 acres being the smaller lot. The zoning, of course, is low density single family residential. The density without buy-ups in the WSP is 2 lots per acre, and that would equal 79 homes. Now the applicant chose to put in a 61% increase in density with buy-ups, and that was all laid out and followed according to the ordinance. The Petersons have done this a few times in the Highlands now, and so they're very familiar with our ordinance and the way it works. Staff has gone over those and feel that it meets the density buy-ups. And so still with the buy-ups, it's a very low density project, and that's for the entire 40 acres is just a little fraction over 3 units per acre. Now, some of the stuff on the 30 acres is, you'll be lucky if it's 2 units per acre, so it's very low density on 30 acres, and then it gets a little higher, of course, in the north. And some of the feeling with that smaller lot stuff up by 7800 South is really empty nester type that want to live in a home still, but they don't necessarily want a half-acre lawn to take care of. But they still want amenities for grandchildren and that type of thing. Or, you know, a family could live in there that doesn't want a large lot. You know, so in total, all told, there'll be over the 40 acres, 119 single-family homes, just a little bit over 5 acres of open space, and there's good connectivity both to the Longview development and to 6700 West. The project will be developed over 5 phases, and this is also in your development plan, so I won't go over this too heavily, but you can see the 30 acres or the larger lot homes will include phases 1 through 3, and then phases 4 and 5 will be the smaller lot stuff to the north. Now, I'll go over the majority of the open space and amenities that the applicant has chosen to use for buyups. So the Planning Commission is comfortable making a recommendation to the City Council. Now, a few months past, I wouldn't have said that the Planning Commission is making a recommendation to the Council, because at that time you were the approval authority for development plans. However, the Council changed the rules a few months back, and now they would just ratify the development plans at that time, but now they are the ultimate deciding body on that, so your recommendation is what they will be hearing. The green spaces, of course, one to the north will be about 3/4 of an acre. It will function as a detention pond, but it will be graded according to the ordinance to function as open space. Now, that is very doable. It's done many other areas, not only in this city, but all over the United States of America. Detention ponds are used for open space all the time. It's not unheard of. To the south is, as you can see, the green portion will be a landscaped portion and function as open space, play fields, that type of thing, the recreation areas. And to the south of that will also be the wash, but they'll be installing the trail that will continue on through the Longview development down to 6400 West. So that really would be a nice amenity in the Highlands, having that trail or recreation area running between the two developments. In all of the recreation areas, there will be playground equipment installed. Of course, the trail I talked about, plus benches every 1,000 feet, waste receptacles every 1,000 feet, and pavilions in both of the recreation areas, both the north and the south. Now the landscaping, I won't belabor this, but it's in your development plan. They will also be landscaping it with trees and shrubs and that type of thing. And at 6700 West, there will also be a trailhead sign that the applicant will be installing. The applicant in this case is installing a swimming pool. Now, it will be available to all users of the Orchard Heights development. There will also be trail connection points, as you can see on the circled oval areas there. The one will be connecting the smaller lot subdivision to the larger lot, and then there'll be a trail connection going through the southern portion to the trail. Of course, people could always go out on the road and access it that way if they choose to. Of course, following the theme of the Highlands, there will be entry monuments at both of the entryways on 6700 West and on the corner of 7800 South and 6700 West. There'll be a larger monument that will kind of say that this is an entrance into the Highlands. There's a couple of other of those around where you enter into the Highland Master Plan. It will follow that same theme of all the communities in the Highlands. And this is the wall that they have chosen, or it'll be a similar wall. It'll be the same wall as Mr. Peterson said, that will surround all of the communities in the Highlands. It will be installed by the developer. And in this case, let me back up. And then, of course, along the washes, there will be the split rail fence, which is a theme that is being used in the Highlands, also along the washes. And so people, the backyard go up against the wash. They won't be allowed to put tall fences up. It'll give kind of that open community feel. Now along 7800 South and 6700 West, there'll be a landscape buffer, and it will look similar to this. It'll be a larger 8-foot wide landscape buffer between the wall and the sidewalk, and then there'll be the park strip. So there'll be trees and plantings in there. So it really will get a nice buffer feel as you're traveling along 7800 South and 6700 West. The street lighting in the Highlands is a common theme. They're no taller than 12 feet tall, and they're all the same design. They're all aluminum poles. There'll be no vinyl type poles that can peel and have, or fiberglass that can have problems. And they're actually spaced closer according to the WSPA ordinance. And the final buyout that the applicant is asking the planning commission to consider is the treatments of the homes. A couple of weeks ago, Symphony Homes presented to the design review committee a rather lengthy presentation about the homes they build, and the design review committee liked the product and actually recommended the planning commission approval of this project. And as you can see, there'll be enhanced window and door treatments on all homes. This is something that the Petersons have done throughout the Highlands, which is nice because it really does give that craftsman feel throughout the community. All the homes will have either the side lights or windows next to the front door that really shows the entryway prominently. All of the windows will be cased with at the minimum of 4-foot boards around the window. And so it really will be, 4 inch, sorry, not 4 foot. Well, that'd be huge, bigger than the window. And of course, the improved building materials and the WSPR stucco, brick and stone, composite board and shingles, or could be known as hardy board, it's the cement board and shingles. Symphony Home builds a very nice product, and I think it'll be a good product for the city. I won't belabor the point on the housing types because I believe that they're very nice and they meet the WSPA ordinance and the buy-ups that they're asking for. I think they go above and beyond that. But we can talk about that. They're all in your development plan if you want to. And that's really all I've got to say on this. I feel like it meets all of the criteria for the density buy-ups that the applicant's asking for, and I think it meets all of the criteria for the subdivision approval, and I recommend that the Planning Commission grant approval of this. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Questions for staff, Commissioner Green?
Just a couple of questions here. I guess I turned that on, sorry. How, the trail that runs through this part of the development, do we know how long it is?
The trail?
Yeah. I'm just wondering how long this part of the trail was. I couldn't see anything that...
I have to give it a subdivision. It's approximately 800 to 1,000 feet.
Okay.
No less than 800, I know that. So, sorry for not.
Now that, and then on the green belt, I'm just trying to get a perception of a couple of these things for the buy-up. So on the green belt, how wide is that? And when we do a green belt buy-up, do we include the pavement as part of that, as part of the open space?
Yes. And the one the one going between the development, or the houses to the north and south is 10 feet, and this one lower one, the south, is 15 feet wide.
Okay.
And that allows for biking and, you know, rollerblades, if anyone does that anymore, that type of thing, without wiping out people.
Any other questions? At this time, doesn't look like it. So this was noticed as a public hearing, just to introduce our public hearing process. As the public hearing is opened, anybody who would like to comment on this particular item is invited to the microphone. You would kindly give your name and contact information in the event city staff needs to follow up with you on any of your questions or comments. You'll have 3 minutes to make those comments, at which point there'll be a little buzzer up here, and if you would kindly wrap up your thoughts at that point. And on that note, we will open the public if there's anybody who would like to comment on the Orchard Heights development. You can address questions, and we can attempt to have the developer ask those if you'd come on up.
My home is in Longview.
Would you give us your name and address there?
My name is Wendy Kaplan, and I live in Longview, 7932 South, 6520 West, which is backing up right in this line here that I see. So my question is, lot 239 is going up, and second to the, if we go up and we see this first split in the, is that going to be a road, this long line, or is that backing up to the existing homes?
No, that'll be backyards.
I'm just curious if this is going to, this line here.
No, that's backyard to backyard.
It's going to be backyard to backyard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll last call. Close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
And Commissioner Green, that's, Scott did some calculations, a little over 1,000 feet.
A little over 1,000.
Commissioner Pack?
Well, thank you. I know, as you preface, Mr. Chairman, it's nice to be able to have this higher price point. I know we've been saying that we, in West Jordan, don't want to be known just as the community of the starter home and people move on. And so I for one, am excited at the prospect of having a more upper scale single-family development. And I like how the backyards are buffered there with the smaller lot sizes. So I don't see any problem on my end with being able to move forward with this. Just a comment.
Wonderful, thank you. Commissioner Heyer?
Thank you. I just wanted to echo what Commissioner Pack said. Being in the real estate business, and I've worked with Symphony Homes in the past, and they build a magnificent product. Go the extra mile and take care of a lot of details that a lot of builders that I've worked with don't. And I think that if they would make a great addition to West Jordan, and I think the whole project personally is going to be a home run. So,
Thank you. Commissioner Green?
I'll echo the sentiment that I'm glad that we're finally seeing some larger lots someplace. So that's I think that's a plus. I was just going, just for the record, because I know that we've had issues with density buy-ups before. I was looking at this, trying to look at it fairly closely. Personally, I have to tell you, to get a 1% buy-up for one bench under the ordinance and 1% buy-up for one garbage can under the ordinance bothers me. But when you do the numbers, there's a couple of them that when you do the number, their proposed density buy-up 61%, and they don't go all the way to the 127 units. They're down at the 119. I think that even if there were a couple of density buy-up issues that were removed here, I think they're well within the density buy-up. So I just want to make sure that as we make a recommendation to the council, I know the last time when we dealt with the Highlands as part of the apartment stuff, it seems like we went back and forth 2 or 3 times on the density buy-up, which caused the change of the ordinance, by the way. So I think if we scrutinize that, but as I look at that, I think that one to me is under the ordinance is kind of crazy, but for the most part, I think that everything fits within the buy-up and is accurate with the buy-up, so.
Wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner Skoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of agree with Commissioner Green on the 1 trash can and the 1 park bench for 1%. It seems a little bit questionable. I know it meets it, but it kind of seems a little weak sauce. Positives, though, I really like the walkability of the community. I like the connectivity of it. Even though it does have the cul-de-sacs, I feel like there's good flow connecting the 2 subdivisions to the main road. I really like the mix of building types that we have in that area of the city, where we've got the high density apartments, on the one side, and then we have the medium density adjacent to it. You kind of get the whole flow through there, and I think that's a really good thing to have a lot of mixed units in there. I think that's really what we're looking for. So one other thing that I really want to commend the builder on is that they're putting all of their amenities in phase 1. So many times we see builders come in and they want to put their amenities either at the very end or kind of spread them out. But this, I think, shows a lot of good faith that the builder has for the development, and he really is wanting to provide what he says he wants to provide, and that makes me just really like this project. So, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. I do want to thank them for putting in the larger lots and larger homes. Everyone sitting up here knows how I feel about density, including Mr. Peterson and the planning department here. I'm glad to see it. I'm glad that the Symphony is willing to take that step. We have several places in our pockets where we have the more expensive homes, but they sell fast and they are high priced. And I think this product will sell well. I'm just glad to see it, and I hope Symphony will look at doing the smaller lots because of their product. So I just want to thank you for that.
Commissioner Green?
Based on the findings and evidence in the staff report, staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the Orchard Heights sub-area preliminary development plan to the City Council for the property generally located at 6553 West, 7800 South, with a residential density of 3.03 units per acre for a total of 119 single-family resident lots, subject to conditions 1 through 4 in the staff report.
Second.
Motion. You got one for Matt. He's on it.
Bill really want a second.
Third. You want me to say it louder next time?
Motion by Commissioner Green, second by Commissioner Queen, third by Commissioner Hyder. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
And then I'll just continue based on the findings and evidence in the staff report, the wordings here. Recommend that we approve the Orchard Heights preliminary subdivision plat generally located at 6553 West, 7800 South, subject to conditions 1 through 3 listed in the staff report.
Second.
Oh, my.
Motion by Commissioner Green, second by Commissioner Sikoski. Discussion to the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Wasn't one of these being forwarded to City Council?
The first one did. No, it says,
Recommend
approval
approval of the
to
preliminary
city
subdivision.
The preliminary
Okay,
subdivision.
all right, yeah.
The wording was kind of weird,
Yeah.
so
I got it.
it's, yeah,
I'm with you now.
I was reading it instead of,
I gotta tell you, in 6 years on the planning commission, that might be the fastest we've moved through a WSPA.
We're experienced now.
I guess so. Which brings us to the last item on our agenda tonight, which is the West Jordan Public Works Building preliminary site plan and conditional use permit for operation center use and building height of 38 feet in a PF zone. Mr. Wright, are you introducing this one for us this evening?
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll introduce it. I've got Gordon Clark here from JRC Architects, who is going to explain the whole program that we have here for this facility and perhaps answer any questions he might have for you. So,
and I'm Gordon Clark. I'm with JRC Architects on the project. This is the existing site for the existing Public Works facility. And in connection with this project, in order to make it work, we're utilizing some parkland that is directly to the north of the site. That gives us the site size that we need in order to be able to put together and meet all of the needs of your present as well as future public works needs here. So we've got the, let me see, there's the existing facility there, and we'll be occupying this space up here. There's this one little parcel down here. We're not going to be utilizing that at this point because of the zoning issue there. So let's see if I can go. Let me just. Which way do I have to go to the next one? Okay. So there's our site. So this is actually, let me explain a little bit about what's going on here. Up here, this is the new facility that we're talking about. It's about 120,000 square feet plus there. One of the things that's really important in looking at this project is understanding why we're doing a couple of the things the way we are. We have to figure out how to get this facility built while the facility that's down here stays in operation, because this is a 12 to 14 month building cycle. So what we're looking at is we've actually got a couple of phases located in the project. We're building some of the outbuildings right here along the southwest corner of the project. And the reason we're doing that is they actually occupy a space here that's underneath the new facility footprint. So what we're going to do is build this as a first phase. We'll then be able to remove the facilities that lie in here and lie within the footprint boundary. Then we'll go ahead and construct this facility in here. Every operations will migrate into this facility, and then we'll be able to clear the site and put in the balance of the improvements here. So that's the overall scheme. The way that the site is devised is so that the main public area, when we have any type of public, comes to the northeast corner here of the facility. We've got public parking that's designated for them there. We also get lighter vehicles that need to come in for servicing. This particular wing is the fleet area where we do all the repairs on the vehicles. And so we've tried to establish a flow where we can bring in the lighter vehicles. They can be parked here. Oftentimes, if it's a police vehicle, we have extra police vehicles there ready, waiting, that are operable and ready to go, so that an officer can bring in a vehicle or leave it there, immediately get back out on the road with one of these substitute vehicles. The vehicle can be repaired and serviced, and then they can come back and pick up that vehicle later time when it's ready. We've got a second entry point that's down here. This is where the main flow of all of the large vehicles are going to come through. They can come in here. To let you know a little bit about this, this facility, all along here, the backside here, most of that perimeter there, we have overhead doors to get the vehicles inside and outside. When you work with the large vehicles, one of the things that's really important is being able to drive through the facility to avoid as much backing as possible. Large vehicles also need a lot of turning radius. That's why we have the wide aprons that run around the facility. We have some future covered parking out here. This is a future fueling island. We'll relocate the existing one into a configuration in this location. We have a salt storage building, and these are other bulk materials that are stored here for different types of services that the city performs. So we have employee parking here. This allows all of the employees to park here, come through and access an employee entry that's down here. And from here, they can go in, employees can go in, get their assignments for the day, and take the vehicles and move them out. So this is primarily the vehicle entrance and exit for large vehicles, and this is the staff parking entry and exit in this location. One of the things we're trying to do is keep a circular flow through here so that they can flow around the site, try and again avoid backing up the vehicles. Safety is the biggest issue, and we try and separate large vehicles and small vehicles because the large vehicle, again, it's a safety issue. So along with that, let's go ahead and, okay. These are the elevations of the facility. Again, you can see the amount of overhead doors that's required to operate a facility of this size with this type of nature of operations. Also, this is the main entry here, and we tried to develop a lot of architectural character there so that as people come, it becomes the obvious entry point for the public at that particular location there. And we'll go on. We've got another rendering which shows you a better idea of what the materials are on the facility. Real quickly, this is the landscape plan that we have here. One of the things is this is a yard here that larger vehicles will be circulating through. One of the things that we've tried to do along the entire front of the building is to provide a buffer of landscaping. We're going to end up with mature trees, which will form a good visual screen for the building. Also, along these areas here where we have a lot of vehicle traffic that's exposed to 40th West, we will have an 8-foot high fence there that will be the kind of that cast concrete panelized type fence, and it's along there to help kind of conceal a lot of the operations that go on there too. So let's go, and then again going down to the parking here, and again a second layer of buffering that we have to screen this particular area in here. We do have fences that surround the entire perimeter. When we get to the back here, these are screened with chain link fences with slats in them. And this is a rendering of the interior, or the exterior main public entry, which is in here. The building is only 2 stories in this particular location. We house administration on the first floor with public or services, not but training rooms, things like that, where we need to be able to get all the personnel together. And then on the second floor is the engineering department. Also includes area for future expansion. One of the concepts behind this facility is it provides enough services here that will accommodate all of your expected growth for the next 50 years. So you'll build this building, we expect it to have a 50-year lifespan, and probably even longer than that, you'll find. But we can accommodate this kind of growth, and that's one of the reasons for the size of the building and some of the configuration here. The proposed elements on this building are, we've got some CMU block, which is honed. We also have brick in varying colors along here. This is a metal panel system that we have to, again, break up the form of how large this facility is, at least on the public side. So that's what the public sees. Let's go ahead. Actually, let me take you back to just one other element here. One of the things we have is we're in the public facility zone. We're looking for a conditional use because of the height of the building. You'll notice that we have 2 bays here. Those 2 bays right there are approximately 37 feet. One of the things that we find is when we get the large vehicles and get them up on lifts, it takes a certain amount of head clearance. Well, One of the other things is when we bring a ladder truck in there, in order to get to the engine, which is below the cab, you have to raise the ladder a certain distance to be able to tilt the cab forward, and then you get it on a lift and raise it up. And so we've got a couple of bays there that are built especially for equipment that has those extra height concerns, and so that's located in the facility right here. And so with that, open to questions or any further explanation you may want.
Commissioner Skoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple questions. One is well, first is deconstruction for the main building. Is the building for phase 2 going to be built prior to the demolition of the current building, or will that be demolished before phase 2?
You mean the current building? The current building is located right here. It's outside of the footprint. So one of the reasons for this particular siding and design is it does allow the existing facility to stay in operation. So
all the way through construction?
Yes, until this facility is constructed and we can migrate into that facility.
Thank you. So my question is, anticipating that happening with the main building still kind of sitting in that phase 3 area there, will there still be enough room for the larger vehicles to enter in around where the construction and everything is taking place on the north side of phase 2 and make the turn into those areas?
You mean, can they still come in here?
Correct.
Yes, in this particular alignment, we can still have one, we can have circulation come in. I think we were looking tentatively, Jim, at being able to have potentially an outlet down across here of a temporary nature.
Kind of a construction outlet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So that, again, we can get those vehicles. One of the, I won't say the nice things about this facility, but you'll find that during the days, everybody comes in, gets their assignments, goes out to do whatever they're going to do. And so this facility is, I won't say largely unoccupied, but it is not.
Okay.
Yeah, because everybody's gone working and then they'll come in. So there are just kind of 2 points during the day where we would see traffic in and out.
Okay, and then my other question is, due to the nature of what's going to be going on in the phase 2 building, as far as like large equipment that will come in and unload, large engine parts and things like that, will they have enough access to get around the west side of the phase 2 building there where it kind of pinches in?
Right.
Or are you anticipating those vehicles stopping on the south side of the phase 2 building?
No, they can actually circulate around the whole.
There's enough room there?
Yeah.
Okay.
This distance, this building right now, let's see, I think we're about 95 feet wide, 90 to 95 feet wide. So that's a 70-foot wide.
Oh, okay.
There. Maybe not quite that much, but yeah. One of the things, again, because of the circulation, the size of the trucks, basically, we plan on 75 to 80 feet in between anywhere to get the trucks in and out, turning and whatever.
All right, yeah, the dimensions on my drawing were so small I couldn't tell what was there, so I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, those are all my questions.
Commissioner Quinn.
Thank you. So my question is more of a soccer mom type of question. Right now, as I'm looking at this, you go back to the aerial photo. On the back side, the thing that you can see the sidewalk that travels around. Right now, you can walk down that sidewalk if you need to go. My kid plays soccer on the south side of this. If we need to go to the restroom, we can walk around, go up there. But now that sidewalk's being taken apart with this, is there going to be another way to kind of reroute that sidewalk around? Is that access going to be completely restricted?
I don't know, it's part of this project. I don't know that we're going to.
I don't know if this is the appropriate place to ask it. I didn't see another space to ask it, so.
That has not really been discussed because that property on the west side is, again, Salt Lake City property. And we don't have the lease on that part going to the north up there. Yeah, let me borrow that. Right along here, we don't lease that part oh, I lost it, everything. We don't lease that right now, and I don't think we ever will, because this whole lease thing is going to go away in about 10 years. And then the soccer fields are going to go away in about 10 years, so.
Okay.
And we've talked about this sidewalk. We've talked about what to try to do with this sidewalk. We wanted to try to just terminate it right here, take it out entirely, so we don't have people trying to walk clear around here and bring them back around this way. There's this restroom building right over here as well that's available for folks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. If you could go back to the site plan. There. It seems like the fueling station, is there enough room there? Because there's an entry, you're going to have cars entering there, and cars also refueling. Is there enough room? Looks like quite a narrow space there.
Oh, right in here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there'll still be space for the vehicles to pass on the side. And this represents, say, for instance, a canopy, so the vehicles that are fueling would be underneath here, as well as having the side space here and here. And we can make a couple of adjustments with this. This is actually not a future building, but a future canopy, so that if we have certain vehicles that they need to be basically out of the weather, need to be uncovered, and also have a place to usually pull in a lot of these vehicles, because they're diesel, will have block heaters and hydraulic heaters on them. But we'll be able to store them outside and still keep them out of, direct snowfall and things like that. So we have an opportunity here to kind of work with this. We're working with the engineering team that's going to be engineering the actual fueling station itself. And so we're still working out some of their requirements. So this little area might change just a little bit, not much.
It just seems awfully close to where you're going to have automobiles or large trucks coming in and other cars fueling it right there. So if we moved it further south, I think that would be a safety issue.
Potentially down into this area. We can take a look at that too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Spassky?
Thank you. Just one last question. Are there plans for potentially future solar on the roof of this structure, or a stub out so that solar could be added?
Yeah, I think we are including that. We've looked at the solar panels and, for instance, what the additional weight of an array would be on the roof. We're putting that into the building so that in the future there's still that opportunity to introduce that technology in the facility.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Green?
I guess I'm going to follow up along with what Commissioner Quinney asked. There was no thought of, I know that you mentioned that we don't have the lease on some of that property, but it was where we are eliminating that sidewalk that runs through the middle of where phase 2 is going to be. Did we think about anything about putting a sidewalk on West Jordan City property along the west end or south end to allow people to walk around through that park, since it's been there forever?
We go back to that overhead slide. One of the things that some of the city council members are wanting to do, and that is to sell out this piece of property right here. And so if we were to try to even make some kind of an agreement with Salt Lake City to bring the sidewalk around, I mean, that's probably an option we could do. But with the feelings on city council right now, trying to sell this piece of property, and I think they would probably like to sell it sooner than later. Some feel like it's a very valuable piece of property right there. And because we've lost these 2 soccer fields, and there's a couple more out here that they would probably lose, they want to be able to make arrangements to have additional soccer fields somewhere else in the city. So in order for us to put a sidewalk around here, we probably would have to have some kind of an agreement established with Salt Lake City. And to come over here and put it on, the way this is set up right now is that our buildings that are everything going right against this, is going up against the property line. And I think too, from a security issue, if we were to even move those in 5 feet, so we could have a sidewalk along there, then you've got a sidewalk behind your building so people can't see what's going on back there. I think that's a security issue that we probably would like to just stay away from as well. We've had people break into this side of City Hall, or of the Public Works building, and we've had the police department take a look at all of the security measures that we're trying to incorporate into this, and so to try to put something that just makes people want to go back there, I don't think they would be in favor of that.
Any other questions? Looks like that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. McDaniels.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, again, what you're looking at is 3 actions here. The first would be just for preliminary site plan approval, conditional use permit for the operations center itself, conditional use of the public facility zone, and then another conditional use for the height of the building to 38 feet, as was previously discussed. I think I made it abundantly clear throughout the staff report that that small rectangular piece there at the bottom is not part of this request. They have submitted a rezoning land use map amendment request that you'll be seeing here within the next month or so. So we're looking at that. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add, other than our recommendation is for approval subject to the conditions that are listed in the staff report.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Very good. This was also agendized as a public hearing this evening, so I'll open it up to the public. If there's anybody who would like to comment on this particular item, the time is now yours.
Lyle Summers, 3961 West, 8010 South, West Jordan. I'm not sure of the orientation here. Some of our neighbors and I are concerned about the traffic on 40th and also the aesthetics of this building from the east, from 40th. Could we put up 40th West? I can see 40th West. And so what is going to be exposed to 40th West would be a wall. And the traffic on 40th is always a problem, and the parking during soccer games, especially the big tournaments that they have, is a real neighborhood problem. And is the parking that's shown on 40th, that's new parking? So that would help the parking problem. How many parking stalls are there in there, do you know?
I'm not sure how many are in that little.
I think this says 187 parking spaces.
That's total. So that includes the ones that are on the north side of the building as well.
Is there only one access to the site from 40th?
No, from 40th there are, I think there are, let's take a look here. There are 3.
Can you show me where they're at?
There's one here, one here, and one here.
So the one just off 8010 South there is approximately where the current access.
I think the current it's right here. It's further north.
Okay.
That access is right in here.
Do we anticipate an increase in traffic because of this expansion?
I don't think so. It's the same, basically the same facility, just larger. So it's going to have, I think, Jim might be able to answer that if there's going to be any additional employees.
Well, as the city grows, we obviously hire more people, and the intent is that this is going to be for the build out of the city when the city hits the 130,000, 40,000 people, whatever it is. And we have enough people in public works to be able to maintain that. So, but one of the things that we long-term are looking at too is a little satellite on the west side, a satellite on the east side. We still have some of those things, so over where the cemetery is, even out by Runwood Park, in those areas. And so we're trying to not have this be so focused, but it's so centrally located, it's ideal for everything that's going on in the city. So some of the issues like snow removal, we could get salt on the west side, we want to be able to get salt on the east side as well. So we won't probably have as much, it just gives us more space. If you were to go out there now, the little building, the wing shake building, is totally jammed up in the wintertime that you can hardly walk through it because they have to have so many vehicles parked inside. So this expands the size of the building, but the number of people working there won't be significantly increased until, and it will be a gradual thing as the city grows.
Thank you. My only other question is this building going to be, the new building going to be built according to the LEEDs criteria? Could I ask why?
So we're kind of way outside the scope of a public comment period here with the discussion. If you'd like to discuss that with them after the meeting,
okay.
I think they would be very amenable to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to comment on this particular item? We'll then close the public hearing. Commissioner Skoski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for informational purposes, I've been counting. 88 parking places on the north parking lot and 138 on the southeast parking lot, as long as they follow what site plan here shows.
And that includes that R110 area?
Correct. So there would be about 40 parking places in the R110 area that would not be included at this point.
Commissioner Green?
So question to staff that I now have. We're taking part of obviously a good chunk of green space off of that end towards the New Bingham Highway, 7800 South. Does the city have any plans to replace that green space anywhere else?
Yes, there's just on the west side of the splash pad at Ronwood Park, there's 24 acres that they want to develop into green space soccer fields if they can. Also, there's I think it's about 29 acres just west of the airport that sits north of 7800, about 4600 west. That sits back behind the Brittany Townhomes that has to be, there's 29 acres there, it has to be open space. So those are specifically two places they're looking at right now. And then with the new location of the rec center, just on the east side of that, they're relocating the detention pond that's going in there and being able to make a couple of fields in there as well. So there's talk of being able to replace these. In fact, all of the soccer fields, they're trying to figure out how to do this over the next 10 years. So yes.
My concern, and I'll just put this on the record, is that we need to make sure that at least I voiced my concern that we need to push for the replacement of the property from a citizen standpoint to replace open space. I know we can look at it, but I know that we've had a couple other open space properties come open and we sold them off and turned them into houses. So what I hope that we do is that we do replace this, and that if we look at the property between the Public Works building and New Bingham Highway, that we use it to fix the open space problem, because we can't keep eliminating open space in the city. It doesn't make it a very attractive place to, and we always talk about amenities and those types of things, and eliminating open space doesn't make the area as attractive.
Commissioner Skoski?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with what you're saying, Commissioner Green. One of my other thoughts that kind of coincides with that, though, is I feel like where we're already choked on the Public Works building that we have now, and where they're resizing it, the land was going to be developed anyway for something. They were going to sell it for something. Where there's already plans to replace it, and where this will benefit, the majority of the city for the foreseeable future. This makes a whole lot more sense to me than trying to find some other place within the city, where this plan gives us the ability to operate continually without a massive transport shift and everything. I think it just makes sense to just do it right here.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I think this is a good place for it. What I hate seeing is not having a solid plan in place for replacing the open space. And it's zone PF, not, and we're talking about a conditional use so we can fix fire trucks. So a couple other things. I just want to make sure that for the record that I got on there, that we need to just make sure that we look at replacing in-kind property as we take open space out of the inventory. Because I agree with you, this is a good spot for it. It makes sense for it. It's fair, given the expansion of the west and everything. This is about the middle of the city, and it's not a bad spot for it. And so, yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. I will say, though, that the last time that I moved into a building in 1988, we had an architect tell us that we will never outgrow the building, and in 2016 we can't find enough space in the building. So never say never on that one. But other than that, he did say 50 years. But
Commissioner Skoski?
Thank you. Mr. Summers brought up a really great point with the LEED certification. Are we at a point where we can request that be, can we forward a recommendation along with, a request that the city look into possibly LEED certifying that building?
So we aren't forwarding any recommendations tonight.
Oh, that's right, we're conditional use, I'm sorry. So with the conditional use, are we gonna see another version of this, or is this just what it is?
No, this is conditional use permit and preliminary site, so this is it for the commission.
The reason I ask is just because, this is a building that will be in the city for 50 years, and a building of this size and design is going to take a lot of power and a lot of resources and money for the city to keep it going. And if we were to consider pushing a LEED certification on this building, then, you know, that's gonna be taxpayer dollars, you know, for the next 50 years that can be diverted through a better energy efficiency and a better, you know, offset with solar and some things like that. It may cost a little bit more on the front end to put some of those technologies in, but once they're there, I mean, 50 years, possibly more, we would get, you know, a return on that investment. I'm just wondering if it's prudent for us at this point to recommend something like that.
It's a lot of roof space.
It is a lot of roof space.
A lot of roof space.
Well, and you consider those bays, you know, those massive bays, if those doors aren't insulated, the overhead doors, and if, you know, a lot of that, when the building's closed, is it gonna be able to retain, you know, a lot of that energy use and consumption that we're dumping into that building?
I don't know that recommendation for that fits into either a conditional use or a preliminary site plan.
I would agree with that, but I was looking quickly at the code, and maybe we can get something from our legal staff. I don't know if there's anything that would preclude you from moving on this item, and then as a, I guess, separate item, but, you know, in conjunction with your approval, send a recommendation to the city council. I'm looking through the code to see if, certainly the planning commission can send recommendations to the council. So that would be my recommendation. Move, you know, on the item there present in your report. And then in addition to that, if you feel so inclined, send a recommendation that the council look at pursuing LEED for the building. So ultimately, that's going to likely, the upfront cost is going to change. So the council is going to have to weigh that short term versus long term, and that's their decision.
Absolutely.
Well, then I'll start with a motion to approve the conditional use permit for the West Jordan City Operations Center and additional building height of 38 feet for this project with the conditions 1 through 4 as listed on the staff report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Law, second by Commissioner Quinney. Discussion to that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Commissioner Skoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also move that we recommend to the city council that the building that we're discussing currently be considered for LEED certification prior to approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Skoski, second by Commissioner Pack. Discussion to that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And I'll take care of the last one. I'll move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan for West Jordan City Operations Center with conditions 1 through 7 as listed in the staff report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Law, second by Commissioner Quinney. Discussion to that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That concludes our agenda for this evening, unless there's anything else we would like to discuss.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Skoski to adjourn. Anybody opposed to that? We stand adjourned until November 15th.
Thank you.